I'd like to start by the land acknowledgement because that's very important to me. The land that is known as Chatham-Kent today was established as Treaty Number 2, the McKee Purchase Treaty of 1790. And at that time, the land was also inhabited by the Three Fires Confederacy. That would be the Ottawa, the Potawatomi, and the Ojibwe. These Indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabeg and the Lunapui, agreed to the mutual sharing of the land with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, Chatham-Kent neighbors the Lunapui at the Delaware Nation, which is part of the McKee Purchase Treaty as well, and the unceded territory of the Bujwang Walpole Island First Nation. Chatham-Kent continues to be home to diverse First Nations people and Métis people. And as beneficiaries of the treaty, we recognize the responsibilities that extend to all people collectively to be responsible stewards to the land, the water, and the air that nourishes and sustain us. It's letting someone else in. So there you go. So that's an important thing. And I found two very interesting poems that I'd like to read to you. This one is by William Wordsworth, lines written in early spring. I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a grove I sat reclined, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to mind. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreath, and 'tis my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. The birds around me hopped and played, their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? And I guess, as we think, and I look out at the trees, and I took a picture of my yard before we left 2 weeks ago because I wanted to be able to see the difference in the 2 weeks, and it was quite stunning, really. And I thought, oh, isn't that great? But oh, these cold, wet days are just not doing much to warm our hearts, are they? Okay, and so then I found some lovely words by Diane Ackerman, and it goes like this. It's a bit of a prayer, a bit of a sort of an aspiration, but it goes like this. In the name of the daybreak and the eyelids of morning and the wayfaring moon and the night when it departs, I swear I will not dishonor my soul with hatred, but offer myself humbly as a guardian of nature, as a healer of misery, as a messenger of wonder, as an architect of peace, in the name of the sun and its mirrors, and the day that embraces it, and the cloud veils drawn over it, and the uttermost night, and the male and the female, and the plants bursting with seed, and the crowning seasons of the firefly and the apple, I will honor all of life, wherever and in whatever form it may dwell, on earth my home, and in the mansions of the stars. Namaste and blessings. And I just really felt quite uplifted when I read that. And I really felt like sharing that with you guys tonight. So hope that brings something meaningful to you. I'm trying to figure out where to put that so I don't lose it. And then I had something else that I wanted to do with you guys. Where did I put it? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay. Yeah, and this is you know how I like acronyms and everything, and so this is a really interesting way to kind of help with mood. And I just have been noticing that with the rain and the coldness that we seem to sort of need a little bit of help. And so this is called STAGE, and STAGE, and the S stands for savor, and the T stands for thank, and the A stands for aspire, and the G stands for give, and the E stands for empathize. And all of these things that we can do, these action words, really do seem to build happiness and lift mood. And so I thought I would share this with you before we get into our relaxing meditations. So what do we mean by savor? We all, I think, can think of things that we savor when we're tasting something. But it's about using all of our senses, not just our taste sense. But it's a very quick and easy way to boost optimism and reduce stress and negative emotions. It's the practice of being mindful of what's happening in the moment, noticing the good stuff, the things that we really enjoy that are happening around us, taking extra time to prolong and intensify that enjoyment by making a pleasurable experience last. And how do we do that? Well, like really, really using all of our senses to notice it. So if there's something, if we're going for a walk in between the rain, the bouts of rain, and we might really notice the scent that's in the air. We might notice that beautiful green of the leaves that are coming out, and the green bits of the leaves that are dropping and kind of creating this really beautiful light green blanket on some parts of the ground as we walk. Pausing to admire the sunset, listening to a bird song, whether we're, making a meal and chopping vegetables and feeling things beneath our fingertips, or, the warmth or the sudsy smell of the dishwater, whatever it might be, just really taking a moment to savor. And the other thing that helps with that is when we talk about something pleasant, if we do that, we're repeating the story, we're reminding ourselves of how good it felt, we're sharing that with someone else. Those are all wonderful ways to linger and experience and savor in something. And those people, there's a Dr. Fred Bryant, who's a professor at Loyola University in Chicago. He did a lot of research that shows that those people who regularly and frequently savor are happier and more optimistic and more satisfied with life. So when we slow down and take the time to do that, we can feel probably a little more hopeful and optimistic. And he addresses the three ways that we can do that. One is by savoring past experiences and reminiscing. And I just was noticing that when my husband and I got back, we were, well, on this day last week, we were doing this, and 2 weeks ago, we were doing that. And in that way, we're sort of savoring some past experiences. And you can do that with all kinds of things. We can savor the future through positive anticipation. Okay, we have that, that party to go to next week, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing so-and-so. We haven't seen them in such a long time. So savoring through anticipation. And then the way that we savor in the present moment, I'm going to pause here. What do you think we can do in the present moment to savor it? We can be very mindful, and we can meditate on what's happening around us by just pausing long enough to notice. So there are many savoring techniques that you might just feel more comfortable for you. And so I would encourage you to check that out and practice that. So that's the first letter in this stage framework that can help us build some happiness, to savor. And again, with other people, concentrating on the meaning of an activity, incorporating humor. And the other thing that probably some of you do is to journal and write about it, and take note and on purpose remember things. Okay, so that's the S, the savor. And then the thank, the simple act of identifying and then appreciating the things that people do for us and speaking about it and thanking them for all that they're doing is, they call it a modern day wonder drug. And it really does feel good. It really does, because when we thank someone, we're acknowledging how good it feels that they're thinking of us and caring for us. And that feels good in itself. And then when we can actually slow down and notice how our thanking seems to be appreciated by the person who we're thanking, that feels really good too. So it's very twofold. it fills us with some confidence that we're being caring, and we're noticing and we're acknowledging. It also fills us with a sense of being cared for too. Um, it's some of this research that Dr. Martin Seligman has noticed and written about, the idea of expressing gratitude, whether it's to someone specifically or even just gratitude to ourselves for things that we're noticing. A gratitude practice can really, really improve our mood, and it lowers that. Sometimes, what's the feeling when people feel like they don't have enough, or there's some envy of other people who seem to have more, who, inherited money, or things like that. So being grateful for what we have now, is a lovely practice that can kind of do a lot to ameliorate those sort of feelings of wanting or needing more than we have. Um, and another professor, Dr. Bob Emmons, who's out of University of California, is a leading researcher in the field of gratitude, and wrote a book called Thanks: How the Science of Gratitude Can Make You Happier. And he believes that everyone should try practicing gratitude because the benefits are extremely powerful. The practice of gratitude can increase happiness levels by about 25%. And it's not that hard to do. You can write about what you're grateful for, but in a gratitude journal. One of the things that I do from time to time, and I don't know why, but sometimes I forget to do it, and other times I'm mindful and I remember to do it. But I like to think of three things. And sometimes I do this before I'm falling asleep, or I do it before my feet hit the floor in the morning, but I like to think of three things that I feel very grateful for. So I'm going to invite you to do that right now. Just think of three things that you feel grateful for. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I can be very grateful for the delicious supper that my husband and I put together before meditation tonight. And I can feel grateful for the wonderful trip that I had. I can feel grateful for coming home safely and being able to be with you folks tonight and connect in this way. So those are my things that I feel very grateful for. And I'm just going to pause now and let you think of some things that you might be able to feel grateful for too. Just see what that does. And second, to increase your awareness of how that feels, just notice what happens maybe in your heart center when you're sort of recalling those things that you're feeling some gratitude about or grateful for. I get this warm, sort of fuzzy feeling right here in my heart. Yeah, nice. So yeah, I'd like to encourage you. So that was the T, expressing thanks in our stage, right? Stage um, practice, and then aspire. So we have ST, and now we have A for aspire. Feeling hopeful and having a sense of purpose, being optimistic is an aspiration. And we find that there's so many studies out there that for people who have created a meaning in their lives, they're happier and more satisfied. And this is something that, it's we know that when we lose purpose, that can really increase, our feelings of depression, and so you want to bring meaning, and however you can do that. You can feel upbeat about your future and your potential. You can feel optimistic and positive. And turns out that kind of optimism and hopefulness is a real magnet, that people are attracted to other people who express that. It also gives us this feeling that we can attain goals, and that encourages us to overcome challenges. We just end up feeling more successful. the more successful we feel. And it's not about, the money that you make or it's just about feeling optimistic and able to achieve things and having meaning. And this level of hope is shown to correlate with how well they perform daily tasks, and including physical health. And, it does a lot to sort of curb stress reactions in the body. It increases self esteem and vitality. Um, Another study found that participants who were asked to imagine their future in an optimistic light increased their levels of happiness over a period of 6 months. Believing that your goals are within reach promotes a sense of meaning and purpose, and it's a key ingredient. And as I speak about this, I'm reminded of how whew, during COVID and all of the things that we endured these last 3 years, it was very hard to feel that kind of optimism, wasn't it? It was really hard to kind of know what the future held for us. It was very uncertain. And it did impact us. I think there's no question now that we're really seeing how all of that fear and the fear of the unknown and the unpredictable, and what are we supposed to do with this? So it really, really did cause some side effects, and I know it did for myself. So yeah, so the opposite then of having some hopefulness about future is really, really key ingredient to happiness. And so moving on to the G in our stage practice, and the G stands for give. Um, just about everything about giving is so positive. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the person who gives reaps even more benefits than the person who receives those gifts. So, numerous studies show that this idea of being kind not only makes us feel less stressed and isolated and angry, but it makes us feel considerably happier and more connected to the world, more open to new experiences. So, this idea of giving, and it doesn't have to be monetary, it doesn't have to be material, just giving thanks, or, opening or holding a door for someone, or giving someone, the encouragement, okay, go ahead, letting someone go ahead of us. We've all sort of over the last couple of years, sort of maybe practice sometimes that idea of paying it forward. And there was a Dr. Sonia Lubomirski who asked students to commit 5 random acts of kindness each week for 6 weeks. And then, of course, there was a control group that didn't have to do anything like that. And then they sort of, tested people's levels of happiness. And of course, those people who engaged in the random acts of kindness were experiencing 42% more happiness than the control group that wasn't asked to do any of those things. So, what does that tell us? Another study showed that when we spend money on other people, it actually feels good or better than spending money on ourselves. And simply reflecting on nice things that we've done for other people around us can lift our mood. That's not a bad thing to do at all. Just sort of knowing and remembering, acts of charity, or things that we did that were really giving of ourselves. So yeah, it just seems to, absolutely increase our life satisfaction, and this impacts physical health. So mortality is delayed, depression is reduced, well-being and good fortune are increased by this idea of giving and feeling like we have enough to share with others. I really, really am struck by that. And then the last letter in our stage practice is empathize, to empathize. Empathy is a really powerful word. And what do we mean when we're talking about it? Because there's lots of ways to understand empathy. But basically, it's the ability to care about others. And I just want to say, not to the extent that we exhaust ourselves, because you can get quite exhausted and you can get kind of compassion fatigue, but it's the ability to imagine and understand the thoughts and the behaviors or the ideas of others, including those folks who are very different from ourselves. And if you care about relationships in your life and you care about other people, this learning this skill of empathy can have incredible benefits. because when we empathize with people, we become less judgmental. That's right. We become less judgmental of ourselves and others. That in turn helps us to feel less frustrated, angry, or disappointed. We develop patience with ourselves and other people. And I notice this when I have, and I know I've shared this with you a million times probably, but it's worth saying, the times when I'm driving and somebody does something, they cut me off or whatever. And if I can bring in some compassion and empathy in that situation, then I think to myself, well, maybe they're driving to the hospital and they've got to get there because there's an emergency or something. That does so much to reduce my anger and frustration. And I think it just helps. So yeah, we can cultivate that, and we want to. When we really take the time to listen to the points of views of others, then they're more likely to listen to ours. But if we're, dismissive, then they're gonna do that back to us, right? Strong relationships are essential to happiness. And how do we develop strong relationships? By this idea of communicating in a very empathic way. So, want to give you some ideas to think about that. Compassion and empathy is a skill that we can all learn, and constantly our brains are changing and growing. And as I have said many, many times, this idea of having compassion for others, first having compassion for yourselves, it just does. It just radiates from us when we can forgive ourselves and oh, that was really hard, or it's okay, you made a mistake. It's okay, you forgot to do that. Um, you know, don't call yourself names, those kinds of things. We're less likely to do that to others. And then that just really benefits, the world we're living in, doesn't it? So stage. So again, savor, thank, aspire, give, and empathize. So I just wanted to share that with you. And lovely, we've got lots of time now for some self-care. And I'm going to start with a little bit of vagus nerve stimulation, relaxation. So you might want to if you're wearing glasses, take your glasses off, and just put hands to your face and just rub that face in a very gentle way. You're kind of bringing some stimulation to your skin and the tissues underneath, and that can feel really good. Excuse me. And then you might want to move up and maybe massage your temples a little bit, and with your fingers into your scalp, and rub and manipulate that scalp almost like you're shampooing using your thumbs. I'm just kind of really sort of around my ears and massaging my skull. It feels kind of good. a little achy there. And right to the back where your skull meets your neck. Just right there, a little rubbing with your thumbs or whatever works. Coming back. And then make sure that you're putting a little bit of warmth from your fingertips over your eyebrows, spreading them if that feels good, softening them. And, I like to rub cheekbones and into the jaw muscles, and opening and closing your mouth, really feeling a lot of tension there. Me doing all my talking all day. Oh, and then, I'm going to invite you to shield your eyes a bit, and so that you're blocking out any light in the room. And if there's room under that, opening up your eyes, and just, there's really nothing that you need to look at. And that can be so restorative. Our eyes get quite overwhelmed and exhausted in a day. And when they have nothing that they have to do, it can be kind of relieving and restful. And then I don't want you to shock yourself. So then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of bring your fingers and like just flutter your eye. Don't take your hands away from your eyes yet, but just flutter your eyelids open so that you're not shocked when you remove your hands. And then I don't want you to forget about your ears, because evidently around your ears, this is a place where the vagus nerve is very close to the surface. and even in your ears. So rubbing around there, and then take your ears and, like you're playing with Play-Doh, give them a little bit of a rub between your index finger and your thumb, all around the top and the sides, and you can bend them forward a little bit gently if that feels good. Pull them up a little bit and then down, grabbing very gently, holding on to those earlobes and hugging down a little bit. And then underneath your ears, and you just want to take your hands and kind of rest them there so that you can feel the warmth. And then very gently, with a comfortable amount of pressure, just drag your fingertips down the sides of your neck, all the way down till you reach your collarbone. And then you can cross over and massage those trapezius muscles, those thick muscles that connect shoulder to your neck. Oh, that feels good. And then don't forget to the other side, massaging there. Oh, that feels quite nice. And then just letting your hands rest in the place beneath your collarbones and above your breastbone, just right there. And if your eyes are closed, as mine are, maybe your eyes aren't, but you can, however you want, just pausing here and taking a lovely, gentle breath in, filling the chest and lungs, and then take another little sip of breath in, filling it a little bit more, and then a slow, gentle exhale out of your mouth. And let's do that again. Breathing in, filling the chest and lungs, and then a little bit more, but don't overinflate. And then a nice, slow, gentle exhale. And again, breathing in, filling your chest and lungs. Taking in a little bit more. And then a lovely, slow and gentle exhale out your mouth. Breathing in a little bit more and breathing out. And again, breathing in a little bit more and slow and gentle exhale out. And now letting your breath return to its gentle rhythm. And following that just for a moment or two. Knowing that if your mind is going to wander, it's so normal. You can use phrases or you can count the breath to anchor yourself to that moment if you like. So as you notice that you're breathing in, you can say, I'm breathing in. As you exhale, I'm breathing out. Or you can count. The in-breath is 1 and the exhale is 2. Any of these things help to kind of help your focus to sort of rest there with the breath, but it's also not essential. Really doesn't matter what happens when you're sitting in this posture, noticing your breath. Or maybe now you want to shift and notice sounds that are in your awareness. Or shifting now to sensations in your body. It might be the gentle movement of the breath as you breathe in and out, or it might be noticing points of pressure or contact. Whatever it is, this is where you are right now. Nowhere else. With nothing else to do but bringing this gentle awareness to yourself. in this moment. A moment or two of silence. Before we end this little vagus nerve relaxation, just invite yourself to be a little bit curious about what do you hope to bring to yourself by meditating tonight. We have at least another half an hour, so we'll do some things that we like to do. And as you guys know, we'll wrap up with a loving kindness meditation, giving to ourselves and giving to others, and that idea of sharing. But before we do that, what goal, what aspiration do you have for yourself? Just bringing your awareness to that, setting that intention, whatever it might be. Sometimes we want to bring peace to ourselves. Sometimes we're maybe looking to explore feelings and sensations and understand ourselves better. Sometimes we're just looking for some relaxation, some rest, some relief, whatever it might be. Letting that kind of guide you for the rest of the practice. So I'm going to invite you to adjust your posture now. Just feeling really chilly, so I'm going to grab a little blanket here. I don't know, I think my husband turned the heat off when we went away up here, and so feeling a little chilly, and that doesn't help, right? When you're feeling kind of chilly because you get all contracty and that's not a comfortable way to feel. So you want to make sure that you're feeling warm and comfortable, and yeah, okay. So hopefully you are too now. So whatever that posture is, and those of you who are reclining, if you end up falling asleep, that's only going to benefit you. I mean, even if you have a minute or two of this kind of peace and relaxation that you're bringing to yourself, that's lovely. And if you end up sleeping, you need to rest, obviously, right? So no judgment there from me. I think I'm going to invite you to just, there's so many benefits to awareness of your body. So we'll do a body scan meditation. And those of you who are not fans of this, I apologize, but I just encourage, as much awareness of your body as you can achieve. And if it's uncomfortable, notice that too. And be a little curious, like, oh, I'm not enjoying this, or I don't want to focus on this. And that's just fine. Don't. You have every option of maybe just sitting and breathing or doing something completely different. But tonight, just bringing awareness to the top of your head and noticing any sensations that are there to be noticed. Maybe when we were massaging our scalp, maybe there's some sort of lingering sensations that you can notice from that feeling. Or maybe you can even sort of recall or savor that sensation. And then bringing your awareness to your face and letting your eyes be soft and your brow smooth. And again, noticing if there's any tension or tightness in your jaw. So if there is, maybe opening and closing or wobbling it a bit. Pausing for a moment to notice what you're able to notice about your face, your eyes, and a gentle invitation to let go and to soften as you bring awareness to your neck and your throat. And again, maybe as you breathe in, you notice the coolness. Maybe there's some tension or tightness in the back of your neck, or there's something else that you're able to be aware of in this moment about your neck and your throat. And taking a breath in and exhaling as you bring awareness now to your shoulders and the muscles and the tissues and the bones, and bringing awareness to your shoulder blades and your collarbones and your arms, your upper arms, the length of your arms, your elbows, your lower arms, really sensing in deep into the tissues, the muscles, from the inside out, noticing whatever sensations you can notice about your arms. What are your arms doing? Are they resting on something? Are they bent? Are they straight? Is there any ache or tiredness? Maybe there's something else that's pleasant. Whatever you can notice about your arms and your hands, into your hands, each of your fingers and your thumbs, the palms of your hands and the backs of your hands. And really sensing into the weight of your arms. I really appreciate this kind of connection to gravity when I can feel the weight of my arms as they're gently being pulled towards the earth. And that feeling of gently being cradled by that mysterious energy of gravity. And sometimes I imagine, just before lifting my arms, I don't actually lift my arms, but I imagine and sense into the weight of my arms as if I was going to lift them up. And that really helps me to be more aware of that gravitational pull, that gentle pull. And breathing in deeply. And as we gently exhale, letting go of that awareness of our arms as we bring awareness now to our upper body. That would be our chest and our upper back, our lungs and our heart. Really sensing in to that heart center and all of the muscles that do what they do when we breathe in and out. Following that rhythmic movement for a bit here. Breathing in and out. Noticing the sensations and the movement. Taking in a deeper breath, and as we exhale, letting go any tension or tightness anywhere. Just imagine it flowing out through the tips of our fingers if that imagery works for you. And letting our awareness drop down to our bellies and our lower back. And our sit bones and our genitals, our hips. And maybe noticing points of pressure or contact as we sit, connect with whatever surface we might be sitting on or reclining. Just really noticing whatever sensations are there to be noticed in these important parts of our bodies that help to keep us very stable and upright. But maybe if you've been sitting a lot, as I have today, more than I've been used to in the last couple of weeks, maybe there's a bit of an ache in those sit bones, and maybe there's a need to adjust. And I'm going to invite you to do that, to kind of adjust your posture and notice the relief that that can bring just by shifting ever so slightly those sit bones, a point of contact. As you let your awareness now flow into your legs, your long legs, the largest part of you with the longest bones, very powerful muscles deep inside the tissues. What can you notice about your legs? Perhaps their posture, their position. Maybe you can sense the warmth of your hands if they're resting on top of your legs. Whatever you can notice. Maybe there's more points of contact or pressure as you sit. Whatever you're able to be aware of in this area of your body. Your legs. Because they work very hard for us, maybe just in this moment, we might want to express a little bit of gratitude for them helping us to get around today, doing what they did all day long. And then I think, well, why shouldn't we express gratitude for other incredible, amazing parts of ourselves? Our incredible brains, our eyes, our mouths, our lungs, our beating heart, and all of our important intestinal organs, everything, our skin, our muscles, our fingernails. And I haven't forgotten about our feet, our incredible feet that help us walk and take steps every day. How hard they work. Bringing your loving and gentle awareness to your feet, the bottoms of your feet, the tops of your feet, and each of your toes. Noticing and sensing their aliveness. It's sometimes easier to sense that aliveness in our toes and our fingers. In this moment, I'm going to invite you to flex a little bit your hands, extend them and extend your toes and relax them, noticing the aliveness, the tingling, the pulsing. And again, a little bit of appreciation goes a long way. Appreciating our hard-working bodies and all the sensations that they are sharing with you, that your brain is helping you to interpret and be aware of in this moment. I'm going to invite you in the next few moments of silence to kind of check in, scan your body again and notice if there's any tension or tightness. You can invite there to be a letting go, a softening. Taking some time to do that now in the next few moments of silence. Scanning, and don't forget the power of the breath and how that can really help us to release and to let go. So at any point in time, as you notice any tension or tightness, pairing that with a lovely breath in. And as you exhale, letting go a little bit more and a little bit more. So scanning now, noticing if there are any places that have kind of become a little tense in this practice or that could use a little extra attention. Being a wonderful caretaker of yourself in this way. If you need to move your body to shift posture or sensing something in a more concentrated way, that will only lead to more awareness. That's a beautiful thing to do. Shame in some gentle movement in this practice. One more minute, just like this. Hmm, lovely. Even if you're drifting or in and out of awareness of your body, 30 seconds of awareness is extremely beneficial and a real gift to yourself. So, no judgment. You might want to move your body a little bit and maybe take in a deeper breath in through your nose and a nice exhale out. And I'm just going to chime the bowl to help us sort of be aware of this moment and the sound. Chiming the bowl now. And then if it serves, you might want to raise your arms up. A little bit of a stretch. Oh, gentle movement and gentle stretching. Adjusting your seated posture if you're sitting or whatever you need to do. And now it's just enough time for loving kindness meditation. And I think there might be one or two folks who haven't done this before with us tonight. So I'm just going to go through this very briefly. What we're talking about when we do loving kindness meditation, there are usually these loving kind intentions that I will offer and say out loud. And I tend to say them 3 times. And at least one version is a longer version, and you don't need to repeat that. But the shorter part of the loving kindness intention, try repeating that and using it almost as a mantra. So we say it 3 times and then we breathe out and we offer it to the world. And so that's how that goes. And there is a little bit more to that. So without further ado, you might want to bring your hands together if that works over your heart center, but there isn't any need to if you're sitting comfortably. Um, but it starts like this. May all beings everywhere, myself included, be happy. May all beings everywhere, myself included, be happy. And this means that we may live with a playful and joyful, patient, forgiving, accepting, creative heart, mind, body, and spirit. May all beings everywhere, myself included, be happy. And we breathe in very deeply, filling our chest and lungs. And as we exhale, we imagine sending that loving, kind intention of happiness outward to all beings everywhere. And we can imagine that that intention sort of radiates from our heart and in the rooms that we're sitting in and the homes that we're sitting in and into our community and outward and outward and outward so that it circulates around the world and beyond. If you want to go to the universe, that's just fine too. That's the first one. May all beings everywhere, including myself, be happy. And the second one goes like this. May all beings everywhere, myself included, be healthy. So we say that again. May all beings everywhere, myself included, be healthy. And the longer version is this means to have a body mind that gives energy and strength and stability and wisdom and stamina and healing. That's what we mean by healthy. May all beings everywhere, including myself, be healthy. And we take a nice breath in, filling our chest and lungs. And as we exhale, imagine that that loving, kind intention of health and well-being travels outside of our bodies and minds and our homes and into our communities and into our world. Let's do that again, breathing in